welcome to Chime In. We are excited that you decided to spend this hour with us this evening. We just ask you to make sure, again, you share with your friends, share the live feed, join our group. We have a really, really important topic to talk about today. We're going to be talking about systems to improve and support Black business and our community. We have 3 special guests. We have 2 that are on right now. We'll have another one joining us, and we're going to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. As a reminder, we're looking for you to give us feedback. Please share your comments. Please share your questions. We're going to try our best to get all of your questions in. Let us know if you want to direct those questions to our guests or to one of the hosts. We're happy to make sure it gets directed appropriately. I want to just introduce myself. I am Celeste Day, and I am a healthcare administrator. And welcome to Chime In.
Hi, good night. My name is Andrea Caesar. I'm an emergency nurse practitioner. Welcome to Chime In.
Hi, my name is Denise Scott. I am a consummate sales professional for a major telecom company. Welcome to Chime In.
Greetings, this is Jeremy Lawrence, otherwise known as DJ Pompey. I'm a courier for FedEx. Welcome to Chime In.
Hi, my name is Glenn Frazier. I'm a clinical specialist with a medical device company. Welcome to Chime In.
Oh, my name is Julius Caesar. I'm a financial analyst and entrepreneur. Welcome to Chime In.
My name is Eric McLaughlin, and I am a certified public accountant in the Atlanta area, and I'm glad to be on Chime In.
And Matthew?
Hello, I'm True. I'm the owner of Mangoes in downtown Atlanta and in the West End. And I'm happy to be on Chime In.
Welcome. We really appreciate you guys taking the time out this evening. So we're gonna jump right in because we did start a little late. We want all of you guys out there to stick with us. We're still working through our kinks, but we're really, really happy that you're with us tonight. So I'm gonna start by asking to just talk about Black Wall Street. So we were looking for our guests to talk to us about how the events of Black Wall Street affect how you feel about today's continued dilemma surrounding the economics in Black America. And so I will start with you, Eric. The entire group, we're gonna talk about what we've learned about Black Wall Street. There are many people that you continue to talk to that haven't really even heard of Black Wall Street and what it means. And so we thought it was a great time. The anniversary was just a couple of weeks ago, so it's a great time to talk about it, for all of us to learn together. And we ask for people, again, to make comments, chime in. So feel free to go ahead.
Sure. So it's odd that you even mentioned this as a subject matter that we're talking about tonight, because several months ago, I picked up a book actually from, I think, a book fair that I went to, or even from the bookstore, on Black Wall Street, because I wanted to learn more about it. I had heard a lot about it, obviously, over the years, but I had never really read up on the subject. And oddly enough, you know, the details that I understand from it, again, I'm by no means an expert, but it occurred in 1921 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And actually what happened was, it all arose from basically the fact of a Black man by the name of Dick Rowland was accused by a white woman, what is her name, Sarah Page, who was an elevator operator, accused of assaulting her. And so the long and the short was, as a result of that assault that occurred, obviously the police were brought in. He was taken to jail to await trial. During that time, there was a riot that rose up. Because I'm sorry, not a riot, but the white folks and the Black folks got together, and then shots were fired. And as a result of those shots being fired, I think 10 whites were killed, 2 Blacks were killed, and that started this big uproar. And as a result of all of that, Black businesses, Black neighborhoods were looted, they were burned down, and so forth. And what it means to me basically is it's really more of a frustration of why even that had to occur. It's really a frustration of why is it that the things that we're trying to build up. I mean, we're just trying to do business as Black business owners. We're just trying to do business between ourselves as Black folks. And to have that kind of incident happen is just really upsetting and frustrating in the whole process. That's just how I feel about it. And have it recur on multiple instances throughout history, even, maybe not so much of a riot, but what happened on Auburn Avenue it just becomes frustrating.
I'm not showing up in my thing. I'm not showing up.
So that's how I feel about it. And I'm hoping that, again, there will be resurgences. I mean, obviously there's resurgences now of Black businesses. You've got, the True on the phone on the video with Mangoes. I mean, another successful Black business. So you've got all these Black businesses that are doing business, but we're hopeful that we'll be able to, basically be able to do business and not have those kinds of things be recurring.
Right. No, that makes sense. And you were right. I mean, I think that it is known to be the largest race riot. I know that there's a belief and understanding that the excuse to tear down a community of Black people were prevalent and successful. Excuse was what happened with the false allegation, but it was the excuse to massacre and to tear down a community thriving, independent on its own. So Matthew, did you have any comments you wanted to make about that? Sorry, True.
Well, the history of America speaks for itself. The history of the Black Wall Street speaks for itself. I actually have a poster of that in my office of the members of that organization. In memory not of how it was destroyed, but how it was built. I think that, we as Black people, we have proven time and time again that we are like the phoenix, that we rise out of the ashes and we shall rise again. It's our way, it's what we do. And it's a shame. How can we hope to forge ahead into the future when we don't even know our true past?
Yeah, so one of the things I hear you loud and clear, and probably one of the things that we need to make sure is a topic, so we talk about how we learn about our history. So there's really an opportunity to have a conversation about education. So Glenn, I know you had some specific questions about the businesses and customer service. You want to pose those questions to?
Yes, I did. I'd like to thank True for the history lesson, because I think we definitely need it. We definitely need to know our history for us to move forward to forge another Black Wall Street. We need to know what happened in the past and how to correct the errors that were made, right, to make it successful. So one of the questions that I have for you, True, is something that's dear to me, because I believe in supporting Black business. But as a business owner, how do you feel, and do you feel like Black businesses should uphold the same level of service and customer service as other businesses?
Obviously we should, but here's some of the drawbacks. When it comes to the standards, you will go uptown and pay $100 for a steak, but in your neighborhood, from a Black business, if a Black man charges you $20 for a steak, you go off. You expect the same standard as a white business, but we pay the white man more for his steak. I'm just saying. I go uptown too, and I do pay those prices. I do pay those prices. So I do know that those prices exist. And I see a packed house. And I'm saying to myself, wow, if I raise the price of my oxtails, people flip out.
You're absolutely right.
Talking about, can I have another piece? They always want to bother with a black man. It's a lot of issues that we have to deal with. But I'm not gonna knock it. You take the good with the bad. Yeah. I've been able to survive and thrive playing the game by the rules that I am allowed to use. Maybe I cut back here, maybe I cut back there, but then I try to give people something that is a level above what's expected. Still trying to raise the levels and still trying to say it's not just a black business, it's a business. And I try to treat my business as though it's a business, always trying to raise the levels within the specs that I'm allowed to exist within.
So you're definitely in one of the most difficult industries. So when that customer service question is a really difficult one.
Tough. But I love it though. I'm not gonna lie, I love it. Me and Glenn, I've known Glenn for a long time, since I was age 12, Glenn.
Yeah.
It's been that long. But I gotta say like this, I feel like the business loves me. I love it. I love people. So I'm always going to try to do my best to make them happy. And I think I was born for this. At times, I think I'm born for it because I'm the right type of person, the right mix of nice and tough in order to make it work. But, I don't see it really that tough. I just know their pitfalls and I stay clear. The thing about life and everything is that you just have to live your life by standards, by different rules. And as long as you have these rules in place, a lot of times you won't be able to go and survive. I got stories. I got a lot of stories.
So Eric, I know that you're a CPA. Welcome to Chime In. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. So, with COVID, the government passed the CARES Act. And for those who currently own businesses, how can they take advantage of the payroll protection program, those grants under that CARE Act? Is it too late?
So no, it's not too late for the Paycheck Protection Program. And actually, that's partly because they passed the second round. Obviously, I should say most people know that during the first round, that money was gone within a week to 2 weeks or so. And that was just because of the popularity of the program, also because of some of the pitfalls of the program. Obviously, a lot of the bigger businesses got the money because their banks were favoring them versus the smaller businesses. So there were several incentives and different things put into play in the second round that allowed small businesses to really have time to get this money. So basically, if you haven't applied and you have a business, whether it is a sole proprietorship, an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, you need to apply for this money. Where do you apply for it? You can start with your local bank, whoever you bank with. You can go to a credit union, or you can go to companies. There's lots of companies that are doing it, everywhere from Lending Club to Blue Vine to Fundera. I mean, there's just bunches of companies. Magic Johnson has a company that's doing this. So there's plenty of places to go. But the long and short that you need to understand about the program is it basically provides 2.5 times the amount of your average payroll to you to help fund payroll for you and for your employees. One of the big things that kind of caused confusion, people had a lot of questions about, is there are businesses like mine that hire both employees and contractors. So only the employees you get money for. If you have independent contractors that work for you, you cannot get money through the Paycheck Protection Program for those contractors. Those contractors have to apply on their own individually and can get that money. So long and short is, when you apply, if you have employees, they're going to ask you for like W-2s, the quarterly tax returns, those kind of supporting documents to verify the information that you provide to them. That's easy enough. But the part that becomes tricky is for self-employed sole proprietorships and people that are independent contractors, because the question was, what do I provide to validate my payroll? And so what they're looking for now, and they've clarified that, is now you provide like your Schedule C if you're a sole proprietorship, you provide your 1099 if you're an independent contractor, you'll calculate the average based upon what you've provided to them, and that's how you can benefit from that program. One other thing I'll say about it is that one of the pitfalls, again, if you're a sole proprietorship, is typically when we do tax returns for our clients, and if most people do their tax returns, you're trying to pay as little tax as possible. So what do you do if you're a Schedule C and amongst anybody else? You're going to write off as many expenses as you can, and hopefully you'll be at zero or a loss. So if you try to use this program, the Paycheck Protection Program, and you have a loss on your Schedule C as a sole proprietorship, you will not be able to take advantage of this program. And that's been a pitfall for some of us that are in business.
Thank you for that. So is this a true grant or is it a loan?
So it's a loan that's forgivable. So basically, initially with the first round and even with the second round, you had to spend at least 75% of the money on payroll expenses to get the forgiveness. And then you also had to apply to the bank. You actually have to write a letter or fill out a form to the bank to get the forgiveness. It is not automatic. But with the Paycheck Protection Program Flexibility Act, which just passed on June, or was enacted on June 5th, now the threshold is lowered from 75% to 60%. That's one thing. The other thing that's important to note is that now you have 24 weeks versus 8 weeks to spend the money and get the forgiveness.
Gotcha. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Eric. That was really informative. So we do have a comment out there from Yvette Raymond. Another part of the customer service issue is hiring staff that represents your brand well. So that's really important. That's true. So I'm going to ask, in the current state, in the current climate, really, how can people best show their support of Black business? Eric, can you start?
Sure. So I would say that first, obviously, is to go and buy from Black businesses. I think that's obvious. Number one is to go ahead and buy from us on products or services that we provide, so that way we can have, obviously, the revenue from those services or products. But I think the second thing to do, which really speaks to True's point, is to give feedback. If there's a problem with, the services I provide, maybe the food that True will provide, or whatever the service or product is to provide that service back to that business owner, because we're always trying to get better. I am not perfect. I've had issues where clients said, hey, you didn't give me the best service. And I appreciate that because it allows me to get better, allows me to train my staff. They also appreciate the fact that I have heard them and I'm willing to hear them and respect their opinion, which ultimately makes us all grow as a business community, because that's what we're striving for. To the end that True was talking about, when we're talking about, sometimes people ask us for discounts. Hey, I want to use your service, but hey, can I get a discount? I think that's the other way you can support a Black business is, if you're going to come to me and I say, this is my price, respect the fact that I know enough and have understanding of my business enough to say, this is how I came up with my pricing methodology. It's okay to ask how or why and that type of thing. And is that the best price or whatever? But at the end of the day, if I say, this is my price, respect that and just simply say, I expect a level of excellence for that level of service. I go to Mango's, I expect a level of quality of food for the price that I'm gonna pay. So I'm gonna pay higher, that's fine. If this food is great and enjoyable, I should not have an issue with paying that price. That's how I feel about it. That's how you can support Black businesses.
And I totally agree with you on that, Eric. I think a lot of the time with businesses, it's not the business owner that's not giving great service or customer service, it's the employee. And if you don't give your feedback, if you don't do the surveys and speak to management, they won't know what's going on before it, gets too far. So a lot of time we have to give feedback to the business owners or to management to let them know that they need to uphold a certain standard of business.
That's exactly right. And that's how we grow. And then you'll be willing to say, because they heard me and got better, then you'll be willing to refer, which is what I want ultimately from you as well, is I need you to tell somebody else about my business so they'll come to me.
And that's how you build a loyalty. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're really excited. Welcome, TK.
You're on mute.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, there you go. Welcome to Chime In.
Pleasure to be here.
Just introduce yourself for a few seconds, and then we're gonna throw you right in.
No problem. Sorry for the delay. So my name is TK Peterson. I'm the co-founder of The Gathering Spot. We are an invitation-only private membership club here in Atlanta, Georgia. We also have a location that is under construction in Washington, D.C. that's set to open this fall. I have a location in Los Angeles that is a little further out in the construction pre-development process that's set to open next year. I also am the co-owner of the A3C Hip Hop Festival and Conference that takes place in Atlanta as well, which is the largest hip hop conference, festival and conference in the country.
So TK, can you just give us a little bit of your background? Because people want to know, you're of a different age group compared to everybody else on the show. So we need to hear, a little bit about your background.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm from St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands. I am 29 years old. I was born and raised on the island, graduated from St. Joseph Catholic High School, and then I matriculated to Georgetown in Washington, D.C., where I studied finance and accounting. I was a portfolio manager for a few years right after graduating from school. And then my former college roommate and I came up with the concept for The Gathering Spot while we still lived in DC in late 2013 and really focused on the idea in 2014. We raised a couple $1 million in 2015 and opened doors in 2016. I've been operating since.
Wow.
So what kind of advice can you give on raising money for a business?
I'd say for raising money for a business, the first thing you need to do is, fully flesh out your concept and try your best to figure out how much money you'll need. Once you get that number, double that number, and then try to raise that target number. Because you'll never, whatever amount you think it is originally, is always going to be more than that. So a pretty safe rule of thumb is to double it, whatever your initial projection is. So when we first started raising money, we thought we'd only need $1 million, and then we ended up raising a little over $3 million for the first location.
Nice.
Man, I'm hanging out with the wrong set of crowd. I need to stop.
So Andrea, you want to go ahead and throw your question out to any one of our guests?
What can we do now to help keep our dollars in our community?
I mean, that's simple. You just actually got to be intentional and operationalize your efforts. I think it's the same brand loyalty that people have when they say, I don't drink X water, I only drink this, or I don't like shopping at this store. I know people who they only shop at Publix or they only shop at Whole Foods. And the only is fungible. Like if it's an emergency, they'll go someplace else. But most 9 times out of 10, that's where they go to. And I think you have to have that intentional purpose when you're doing transactions and realize what you're. One of the things that changed how I thought about life was when I took economics, which funny enough, I took in the summertime between my freshman and sophomore year of college at the University of Virgin Islands, St. Croix. And really when it was taught to me that every purchase that you make is the equivalent of voting. So what you're doing is that you're voting for this business to continue. You're saying, I want you to do more of this thing. And sometimes it doesn't matter, like all I want is a burger. So I don't care that if I buy a burger from this place that they use some of that money to invest in missionary work someplace else. And sometimes that does come into the decision-making matrix. And I think we have to be intentional about the fact that when you support a business, a local business or a business in your community, what you're doing is not just voting for that service or that product to keep being made, but you're also saying that I want that community to be more stabilized, because a small business
setting the direction of our communities.
exactly.
It's about determining how we are going to respond to the catastrophe of COVID-19, to not only the public health crisis, but the economic crisis that will continue to assail us. It's about paying attention to the issues of police brutality, paying attention to the necessity of fixing the systemic inequities.
So somebody just got into our Chime In group. So go ahead, TK, finish that.
It's about how we
Okay.
prepare for the next decade.
To me, it's all
And
about
those
understanding
choices
that you're
can only be
investing in the
made
overall
when voters have
infrastructure.
the right and the ability to vote in the state of Georgia. We are going to watch slow returns come in tonight, and we need to prepare for this on the national level.
Abram, something is
What's happening in Georgia, while it once again is a singular example of the failed leadership of the Republican Party, it is also
like some TV or something, or some radio.
Do we still have you guys?
Yeah, you still have it.
Yeah, it was. It was my computer. It was my computer. I had something on.
I think you were plugging a party.
Oh, TK,
I'm
you
not
know we thought
sure.
it was one of us,
I'm
because we all have
sitting
these.
here thinking, what did I do wrong?
I could not figure out what was happening. I was like, what's going on? But yeah, so actually, what that was that so I'm based in Atlanta, and today was our primary day. So one of the browsers that I had up earlier today was the local news. They had like a blog where they're updating in real time what was going on in the city, and we had a lot of issues with the voting terminals and a lot of different things. So I guess when they had just updated the page in the background, they had a live feed going on at the same time. So
No problem.
I want
Okay.
to make a point about, if I could, on what PK just said. You know, I'm a member of the Gathering Spot, been a member since November of 2019. And it's interesting how we talked about making a decision about, you know, how do you buy Black, and making that decision. And my wife and I actually had to make that decision when the pandemic came. You know, when March came and everything shut down starting in April. And I told my wife, I was like, you know, we're really not using the Gathering Spot. We need to go ahead and kind of, you know, suspend or get rid of our membership. And my wife made the point, the fact that, you know, we got to support our community. You know, the Gathering Spot kind of replaces for us what the Commerce Club is in Atlanta, or the Buckhead Club. So to make a decision to say, you know what, I may not be using their services, but I need the Gathering Spot to go on, not just for me, but for those that are in our community that need a spot to gather and to be able to see us as professionals, even as TK is younger than me, much younger than me, but be able to have young folks be able to gather, made us make the decision, you know what, we're going to continue to pay that money to them, even though we may not be using it at that time, because we want that business to continue. And so I think that's what it really means to be able to say, we're going to make deliberate, definitive decisions to put money into our community, because we want our businesses to survive. Because as they say, we all we got.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm forever grateful and thankful for that, Eric, and to you and your wife for making the decision, because it's all about you know, the consequences that come after that. Because we, like Eric said, during the pandemic, we had a lot of members who opted to suspend or delay their membership, or some even cancel. But we're fortunate that we actually added more members during the pandemic than we lost. And what that allows us to do is, because we're able to do that, we're able to keep our staff. So we had, at our high water mark, we employ about 100 people in this city. And right before the pandemic, it was about 70. We did lose a lot of revenue, so we did have to right size our team. So we did have to lay some people off and try to assist people finding employment other places. But for the most part, what we're able to do is we kept all of our full-time employees. And we were able to do that and make sure that they had money flowing into them, which kept the money in their communities, which kept the money going into their households, which keeps, like, honestly, for some of our people, the Gathering Spot is the only job that they can have. And if they can't get a job there, then you're really telling them, like, you have to go figure it out outside of the regular employment market. And there are people who they're trying to do right, but because they have, different experiences or don't have education, their options are more limited.
Yeah, limited resources. So as we're talking about how we keep businesses sustainable, Julius had a really good question about business. Julius, you want to bring that question to the group?
Yeah, in light of everything happening now, would you say this is a good time to start a business? And outside of that, I would say, do you think what do you think about owning a business right now? Is it better? What's the advantages of owning a business right now?
I think any day that you have a concept that you love and you're passionate about is the day you should start your business. That's the only thing that determines whether or not it's a good day. It's you. Like you are the deciding factor. Is this the day that you want to go all in chasing that thing? Or do you want to start chasing that thing? Because there's never going to be the day that, okay, it's 74 degrees. I have $1 million. I have a ton of free time. My wife told me go ahead and do it. So like I can go do it. It has to be whenever that concept is in your mind and in your heart and spirit, and that you really believe in that. And I say the advantages to being a business owner now are the same as always, because it's a gift and a curse. It's the gift that you are the decision maker and the buck stops with you. And it's also the curse that you are the decision maker and the buck stops with you. So when no revenue is coming in for the month and you still have to meet payroll, that's on you. But at the same time, no one's about to lay you off because you're the one in charge of your head count. But I think what I always tell people is that I don't believe in entrepreneurship like as a lifestyle choice, or everyone should be an entrepreneur. But like it has to be something that really invigorates you and that you're passionate about. And what I told people is our business is difficult. Our business is very hard. And particularly the first 2 years that we were open, we were on the brink almost every day. And especially the first year, I tell people all the time, you couldn't pay me any money to go back to 2016. That was the most difficult and hardest thing that I ever did in my life. And I think back to it and it's like, I have no idea how we made it any day. And no, it was terrible. And
so thank you. That's helpful. So Pompey, we want you to put Eric right on the line with that next question that you have.
Sure, Eric. Once again, I want to say welcome to Chime In. So in a time like this that we currently at right now, if I should say I'm going ahead to open a business, what type of business would you recommend that I could go ahead and go for it in a time like right now?
What kind of business? So I think you really have to do it. You could assess it based upon need. For example, I was talking to one of my clients today who's actually from Jamaica. So he does import export is what his business was, with hotels that are over there and other facilities that were over there. So during this pandemic, he's been hit rather hard. So one of the things I suggested to him was rethink your business, reimagine what you could do. So instead of maybe sending over there, I don't know, food or whatever equipment he was sending, maybe you can send over PPE or something like that. So I think you do it based upon what needs you assessed, because business is about, meeting up with opportunity and preparation. So it's about what opportunities exist at this time. For example, even with me, and you mentioned about starting a business, but I think my example here with even having an existing business, having clients that said, hey, I need help trying to access this economic injury disaster loan money or this PPE money. So then I had to adjust my business model to say, these are additional services I will offer to you at a fee to help you get this money. So it's always about assessing what the need is,
right,
and then being able to assist. The last thing I'll tell you is I absolutely agree with TK with the gathering spot. It's got to be a passion that drives you. I've seen people that try to start businesses for money, and when it's purely about money, when business gets hard,
right.
you need something that's going to drive you beyond a paycheck, and that's what passion will do for you.
Right. Thank you. I heard you were talking about something earlier, and I said I have this question that I always want to ask, right? What is the difference between a LLC and an INC, and which one of them you can claim back in your with your W-2?
Claim back with your W.
Because I think one of them you cannot claim it.
Yeah, LLC. So LLC is you're going to self-report your income there, so it flows back to the equity owners in the business. So you take the data from your Schedule C, goes on to your you take that stuff on your W-2, you file that on your personal taxes. Inc. or Corp is part of a C Corp, so it's the same. It's its own living entity, so it's separate. So that thing files its own. It files its own. There's double taxation there because the Inc. or the corporation is its own living, breathing entity. So it pays taxes, and then any money that goes to you also pay taxes on. That's when they talk about in accounting and finance the concept of double taxation. That's what that is. Whereas with an LLC, you put whatever your owner's profits are. Those just get reported back into your personal finance. So not your W-2, but like, because you take the info from your W-2 and put it into your 1060, not 1065, but your 1065 easy or whatever form that you're submitting your taxes in.
So that's true. And let me just put a finer point on it. So you have an LLC and then you have your incorporation. So LLCs and Incs are, yes, the same. They both have limited liability protection, which is the main reason you want to set up a corporate structure. You do not want to be a sole proprietorship, and there's no reason to be a sole proprietorship in this day and age. It's too easy to have an Inc. or LLC. So that's true. But the second part of that is that typically people will do LLCs over Incs because LLCs don't have all the corporate formalities that C Corps have, or even as an Inc. I should say, not a C Corp, but an Inc. So for example, when you have an Inc., you have to have a board of directors, you have to have resolutions that have to happen for certain things, have minutes that you have to keep. LLCs don't have those kinds of formalities. So you simply set up an LLC and you're good to go. If you have multiple members, and you may have an operating agreement or something of that nature. The other point that I will say is that with an LLC, you can also have an LLC taxed as an S Corp or a C Corp. I'm not going to get into all the intricacies of that. I just wanted to make the point, the fact that you can be an Inc., you can be an LLC. I typically have clients be LLCs because there are less formalities, but I also will tell you that I have them typically be an LLC tax as an S Corp so that they don't have to pay self-employment tax, which is 15.3%, which is the thing that gets most small businesses that are single member LLCs and sole proprietorships is that self-employment tax. Because it's 15.3% on top of their normal income tax. And they see it and it's like, oh my gosh. And there's ways to work around it, but that's why you need a tax advisor.
So Eric, is that the only benefit in having an LLC?
That's not the only benefit in having an LLC. I mean, the other benefit of having an LLC, getting a little more intricate, is if you have multiple partners in an LLC, you can actually make it so that the ownership is not the same as the split of profit and losses. So for example, if you're trying to attract capital, you may say, I'm going to give this investor 10% interest in my company. But in exchange for a 10% interest, I'm going to allow him to take 100% of the losses, right? But if there's profits, the other partners will pay the taxes on the profit, because the incentive to the investor then becomes that he can benefit from the losses from the business, which is one reason why people put up money in these businesses. They need write-offs. But in general, the main benefit of the LLC is the limited liability that people get and the ease of setting up an LLC versus having an incorporation.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Can you tell me, how can we keep this momentum going? I mean, right now, unfortunately, a young man had to lose his life, George Floyd, but everything now people are sharing, Buy Black. We just saw the Democrats and wearing the kente cloth. I mean, some people are going to, would lack of a better word, prostitute our Blackness but how can we as a community keep pushing forward and supporting our own?
I think it's actually focusing on supporting our own but in addition to, you know, seeking a seat at the table and a portion of revenues and to be cut into stuff. We just want to have to be good on our own and want to have our own things, as opposed to wanting to have access to the Walmart. We have to want to build our own Walmart or have our own grocery store. I mean, that's what it is. Like when I was I've been fortunate enough, because of what we do, we interact with a wide range of people. We interact with celebrities. Like this past week, I was able to connect some of the celebrities that spoke at the mayor's conference last week, like T.I. and Killer Mike and Usher and those people, with the frontline organizers who just graduated from college, who are still in college, and someone from the mayor's office, because we talk to all of those different people. But the only reason we're able to do that is because of people like Eric, who've made sure that they've supported the club and joined the club, not as a favor, but because we actually do provide a valuable service and product. And because of the earnings that we've had, I'm able to pay rent. And then because I'm able to pay rent and pay my staff, I don't need anyone's permission to say, I want to meet with these people or keep my doors open or have this private meeting. I could do whatever I want because this is my space. And it's because of that. And because I control my space, I can host any event I feel like. I can hire whoever I want. And that is how you have equality. Equality starts with having resources. Like no one gives you anything unless it scraps to them. Like if I'm giving you a donation, that means that I didn't need that money to pay my rent. If I needed it to pay my rent, you wouldn't have it. So you're only gonna get scraps when you're talking to people with more power than you and you're asking for a slice of it. So you are just gonna get people wearing kente cloth, because what are you gonna do to them? Like when we tell people like, oh, like you gotta cut us in, because like who cares? Because they don't have to. What is your alternative? We did not create an alternative. We have to actually create an alternative.
So this is a great conversation, you guys. We're running out of time, but I want to give, just on Denise's note, I want to give everybody an opportunity to have a comment about that question, how we keep this moving forward. So True, can I ask you to give a few words, and then we'll keep going and everybody chime in? How do we keep this going forward?
Sure. First of all, I'll say big up to my boy, Mr. TK in the building. That's a boss right there.
That's you. I come in
boss man. So it's like this. We all have to have a desire for something that's more than just life. We have to want more. It starts with a burning desire for something, and a plan. Once you have a burning desire, you future.
Okay.
As TK has said, the problem is that we are relying on stuff, not forming our own destinies. Me and Glenn had this conversation the other day. No one can stop you but you. No one controls your destiny but you. When you have burning desire, nothing can stop you.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes. Thank you. That makes sense.
Okay. But faith, the Bible says, if a man has faith as much as a mustard seed, now it's mustard seed for me on the ground, you gotta get. You can't. It's the smallest seed.
Sorry, you're
small.
You're coming in and out.
Anything. We're too busy on doing stuff that's frivolous. I apologize. I think I'm not allowed.
Yeah, you are, but you're coming in and out. So let me we only have a few minutes, but we appreciate that.
I'm choppy. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. That's okay.
I wish Eric, I was in a better location.
No worries. We appreciate your time here.
Eric, I should be in my office. No problem.
Eric, no problem. Eric, you want to share for a few seconds what we can do to keep our movement going?
Well, I think it starts with what they've said. We've got to continue to support each other. And I think it's partly our spending with each other, but it's also us hiring each other. I think TK made a great point with that. That's where we have power and control. I have 9 people that work with me, some part-time, some full-time, but the ability to be able to provide a source of income and a platform even for them, not just to make money, but even giving them the room to say, hey, if you have dreams, desires that you'd like to achieve, how can I as a firm support you in that? That's how we allow others to be able to then launch out into the things that they feel passionate to do. So that's what I would suggest.
Okay, and I'm going to ask my other co-hosts to chime in just for 2 seconds each, please.
I'll go. I'll say with all of that we're saying, the biggest thing is presentation, how we present ourselves, how we talk to customer, how we treat them. I heard True said something before where he said, you know, a person will go to the white man uptown and spend $100 on a steak, but they will come downtown to his place to pay $20. All of that have to do with how you present your place, how you treat customer service, you know, stuff like that. So I'm saying if you set up your place in a way where you know that, listen, this is what I'm looking for, this is my goal, that's what I'm going. I treat my I told all my employees, like, this is what I want you to do, this is how you should treat people. It's not about just the money, or it's not just about today, but about every day, because some people only look out for today, what they can make today, and they can win this one customer for today, but they're not trying to win that customer for a lifetime. So sometimes it have to do with that.
I'll follow up. I will say, Eric, I've known you for a while, and your tagline always stuck out with me about walking in your destiny, right? I truly believe you have to do what you're passionate about. You know, if you're not passionate about it, it can't be a business. If you're passionate, the money comes afterwards. I truly believe in ownership. I believe in myself also, in teaching my children about ownership. TK, I've been to numerous amount of events, A3C, Killer Mike, Grant Hill was there. I'm not a member, but my company used to pay for it. True, I also volunteered with a lot of your parties and have been to Mango's. I feel inspired, you know, after talking to you guys about ownership, moving forward, customer service. I mean, all of it plays a hand. I don't want it just to be just a fad, but really a movement. So I thank the 3 of you.
And I'll follow Denise by saying, today in Georgia was primary voting. TK mentioned voting for Black business, right? So we voted today in the election. Moving forward, let's vote for Black business. Let's go out. A purchase at a Black business is a vote for Black business to do well. I support Mango's. Let's go to Mango's. Let's go to the gathering spot. Let's go see Eric. Let's support each other. And that's the only way that our dollars are going to recirculate in our community. And that's the only way that we're going to have a voice and a seat at the table. So let's go out and support Black business. Share all your resources.
Yeah, and I just want to make one quick little point. When we say support, personally, I don't even really like the word support, but I know how people use it in general, so I use it, because some people, when they say support, what they really mean is charity. And nobody's business really needs charity, because if it can only survive on charity, it's a bad business.
Yeah.
So support, am I supporting Steve Jobs and Apple when I buy an iPhone? No, I like the phone. I need it. It does what it does. And that's why I keep buying it. So people, and because people will bludgeon you with that. And it'll be your own people a lot of times. And it'll be like, I'm supporting you. So I know that people will go to Chu's restaurant and be like, I'm from the Virgin Islands too. I want to support. Damn, it's $13 for the stew chicken. I can't get it for $8.
Nah, the support is definitely.
It's just buy it, like buy it. And just like with voting and buying products, it's not like the whole point of that is to be an important customer. Because like if your top customer calls you, then you move different because they mean that much to you. And that's what you should be trying. That's what we're trying to do when we say support our businesses. Because if Black people are the people who are keeping the Black businesses alive, then they don't have to worry about what's going to happen if they support Black causes. But when most of your clientele is some other group or some other demographic, you serve who pays the bills. And it's as simple as that. Like my business is super into the business of Black culture, because that is what we do. And we know the more that we support that's in our heart already. And that's what attracted people to our business. And if you don't like that, this isn't a business for you. But because I know my base, and that's like they're paying this because they believe in the Black culture and the Black experience and Black excellence. They see all of my activities and it extends to that. Because everything that my business is doing is only possible because of the resources of Black people. And then what my job is as someone who is a steward of that is that I have to make sure that my staff is majority Black. Every time I have a vendor, that I've tried to get a Black vendor. And if I can't get a Black vendor, try to make sure that they have like Black people in key positions, and then try to still create a vendor who can take over that service, because that is what the best do. They create the infrastructure and they keep the money to themselves. Because if my little brother could do an important job, I would hire him over somebody else, because I would love the money to stay in my family even more.
Just to follow up.
I think that's all good points, TK. Appreciate it. One of the things that I would say is,
it's all like a militant.
No matter how we support,
I love it.
Black businesses, I think it's important. If you go to a Black business and the service isn't there, don't just walk away. First, ask for a manager or owner and talk to them about it. Talk to them about the service. But if the service is consistently bad, do not go support a Black business just because it's Black and spend your money there. Find another Black business that's similar and try it. And when you find the Black businesses that's providing you the good service and what you need, then you continue to support those. But by all means, let's all come together and try and support each other and build our community. But don't for 1 minute say, oh, I'm gonna continue to go there just because it's a Black business. No.
If ever you go to Mango's and there's a problem, text me. If ever you go to Mango's and there's a problem, text me right away.
I encourage everyone to educate themselves about Black Wall Street and Rosewood. Black Wall Street was one of the most prominent concentration of Black American business in the US. That shows us that as Black American, we could sustain ourselves. We are here to encourage everyone to support Black business, because we are here for ourselves, and we're here to elevate each other. As a nation, we need to own our home. We are the next generation, and we need a Black Wall Street.
Fortunately, guys, I think that's all the time we got. We're at the hour point, so I think that's all the time we got, but we appreciate all our guests coming out. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we will continue the conversation on another Chime In. But again, thank you all the guests for coming out. Thank you all the hosts. We appreciate you all. And let's continue to chime in even though the show goes off. You could go to Chime In Talk, weekly talk show, and chime in there. And we'll continue the conversation. We'll also create other shows in the future where everybody could come in and chime in.
So I want to make sure that I get to just close out and just let you guys know that this Saturday, Chime In will be supporting a cause. We are going to be at the Atlanta Carnival Entertainment and Band Leaders Council is doing a dry goods giveaway. We're going to be there supporting, giving out masks, supporting our community. We have to figure out another word for support, but be deliberate, be very deliberate. Right now, we're supporting Black businesses, not necessarily minority. So thank you for chiming in. Sorry we were a little late, but keep your comments coming. Let us know your topics.
That's gonna be at the Roti House on Covington Highway between 12 and 6 p.m. on Saturday.
You'll see it on our big. Thank you, TK. You were awesome. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate you.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Drew.
Appreciate having you.